How many lovely ladies are with you on the island? They found a huge crab while foraging and even caught a massive fish weighing hundreds of pounds. They achieved seafood freedom, eating grilled fish until they were stuffed. On the 7th day, Anwa's group finally escaped the torment of jungle mosquitoes. They reached a stunning beach, and Anwa quickly started a fire by friction, aware that nights without fire are dreadful. Anwa's hands moved at lightning speed, pulling the bow drill, while his teammates watched in a daze. Clearly, this isn't something just anyone can do. Even fire-making enthusiasts would be left speechless. Even with Anwa's impressive skills, he couldn't start a fire and began to break down. Once the trap was set, they just had to add some bait. Now, they just had to wait for the boar. Meanwhile, Justin's group, initially doing well, began feeling hungry after finishing their food. Although they were near the mangroves, they didn't go fishing. Candace was responsible for finding food every day, while Justin fetched water. Walking long distances was definitely a physical task. Zier was responsible for finding useful trash, and their roles were quite clear. Zier discovered some velvet cloth on the ground, which could be turned into carbon cloth. The upcoming challenges, life wouldn't be as difficult. Zier put the cloth in a box and placed it on the fire to burn. This makes the cloth turn into carbon. Candace searches for food along the shore, and as the tide goes out, she finds snails on the rocks. Even though there aren't many, it's better than going back empty-handed. Andrew's group is stuck at the island's largest beach. Their bottles and head out together to search. Fire can keep mosquitoes at bay, but without water, they won't last 2 days. However, locating fresh water near the shore is tough. Despite the numerous streams on the island, most are salty. They follow the stream, hoping the source is fresh water. Here, they see movement in the water and realize it's a crocodile. I can't see why they're hesitating over such a tiny fish. Any stick could kill it. I just don't get what they're scared of. Eventually, they discover fresh water. Anwa gulps down several bottles. After quenching their thirst, they refill their bottles and return. On Brent's side, Candace collects snails from the shore, much to Zier's delight. After days of hunger, they finally have food. They decide to cook the snails in an iron pot. After breaking the shells and extracting the meat, they fry it at the bottom of the pot on making a fire. Since they need fire to cook, Andrew's group focuses on making one. Anwa's group spots a crab by the water, but it escapes before they can catch it. Korik quickly comes to help, and together they manage to drive the crab into a hat, finally catching it. But Brent's group is still focused on catching wild boars. The traps did attract them, but the boars ate the bait and left. The traps didn't catch them. They were actually very close to catching the boars, just a tiny bit short. Although Brent was very frustrated, their funnel trap did work to some extent. Maybe the boars were just a bit lucky. Name gave some suggestions, like setting 2 snares at different heights, or setting them in new spots. Brent dismissed these ideas to explore the beach, but even for such a short distance, Jill was worn out. Going out to sea to fish would be much harder. She headed back to the shelter with the life buoy. Justin and Candace were lying in the shelter, really enjoying themselves. Next, it was Candace's turn to go out. Everyone knew what that meant. While other groups were starting to enjoy themselves, Andrew's group was still struggling. They were useless. They reorganized some fire-starting materials. Anwa grinned with triumph as the lighter's spark finally ignited a fire after 8 days on the island. They succeeded in making fire for the first time. Anwa was the Brent has a big issue with Nyan, and Kara is uncomfortably stuck in the middle. He's unsure how to fix the tension between Brent and Nyan. Meanwhile, Zier's leg hurts, likely from a strain. Candace is looking for hermit crabs on the beach. They're easy to find, even if they don't have much meat. But it's still better than going hungry. Andrew's group has fire and shelter now, and they're getting ready to cook some seafood. It's low tide now, and Trick plans to try his luck here. Amazingly, a big fish washes up on the Trick effortlessly brings back the several hundred-pound fish to the shelter. This fish will provide a hearty meal. They place it directly on the fire to roast, which makes the meat tender and juicy without scaling it. Andrew knows their efforts paid off. Anwa cooks the fish, making even a simple roast taste delicious. In no time, the fish is cooked. Despite a slow start, they were satisfied after eating just half. It's almost like a seafood feast. Candace begins cooking the hermit crabs, but despite being Candace is hesitant but must withdraw. What challenges will they face next? Stay tuned for the next episode.